Hello, welcome back to You Are My Sunshine. We are again using the highly sought after and coveted Samyang 85mm f1.4 microphone. We're talking about the things that you should be bringing to the Banff workshop. Sparkling water. Yeah, that's nice. Single spear of asparagus from the garden. Gear that you should bring to the Banff workshop. So I, as you know, am a prime shooter. 35mm prime, 85mm prime, sometimes 50, although my brain does not agree with 50mm prime, and I feel like I have to force it a little bit. That might just be because I shot an 85 from 2005 until still today. 85mm microphone. I also prefer those. What I discovered when I was shooting at the locations that we're actually going to go to during the workshop was that I spent a lot of time on my 35. My 50, it kind of got used, but sometimes it was a little bit too long. 85 was definitely too long for most situations. So what I would recommend for you is probably to do something that I never really do. If you have a 24-70, I would say to bring that. It's not a lens that I use very often, but in the mountains, because you're gonna be in a bunch of different situations and the mountains are different sizes, it's nice to be able to basically, I think I did this in a TikTok a while ago, but essentially kind of the way that it goes is that if you are photographing super wide, you're gonna get the couple, you're gonna get the full landscape, but the landscape's gonna look very flat. This is an example from New York City, so it's gonna be a little bit different. However, if you photograph the couple and you zoom in kind of as much as you can and still get the background's gonna seem a lot closer and it's gonna be a more cohesive image. So I would recommend maybe bringing something that's a little bit more versatile. 35 1.4 or 35 1.8 will definitely also be completely fine for you. And it probably would be my number one recommendation if you are just if you're gonna go prime lenses. And this is speaking specifically for the couples sessions, photographing the people. If you're here also for landscape photography, I find that a lot of my landscape photos in the Banff area and Canmore area, I can usually get by with a 24-70, but I do feel like a lot of my images are at kind of that 105 to 120 millimeter range for just pure landscape. So maybe something to think about. You don't have to have a 2.8 or anything, just even f4 to 5.6 or whatever exists for your camera brand. And speaking of that, I don't know how much I can reveal now because it's not official, but there likely will be, if you're a Canon shooter, there might be some gear on site. We're working out all these details now, but there may be some rental opportunities available for you. Unconfirmed, but hoping that does come through. I should know more early next week. For other gear and equipment to bring, it is September in the Banff, Canmore area, which means we don't know what the weather will be right now. We could honestly get a little bit of snow, which is really, really nice because it'll be warmer temperatures, but snow on the ground. So if you get out there early in the morning, you can get some nice snowscapes and then it melts or maybe it stays. The benefit of this is that it probably will be snowing at least up at elevation in the mountains. So you're not just gonna have boring mountain peaks, you're gonna have a little bit of little dusting on there. And for photography, if you're anywhere near a lake, lakes, they retain their temperature, they melt stuff around it. So anywhere near the lakes, it's definitely not gonna be frozen, but there won't be snow kind of on the ground around there. So you definitely don't have to bring a full snowsuit, but I would 100% check the weather a couple of days before you go. And maybe you bring a few extra sweaters if it's gonna be cold, or maybe it's been quite warm there this summer. So maybe it's going to be incredibly warm again. Mountain climate, come prepared for everything. Make sure you layer. Bring a rain jacket as well. We're hoping for good weather the entire time, but I don't know. Again, mountains bring in some strange and unusual weather systems. So it is nice to come fully prepared. To speak a little bit about other things that maybe you should be thinking about, bring some footwear. There's not a whole lot of hiking. If you want to go out on your own and do a hike, if you're there for a couple bonus days or whatever, there is some amazing hiking in the local area. But we're not going to be doing anything too off-roady. There is kind of one hike that you're seeing the footage on the screen now. It's from this location that's amazing and totally worth it's literally a 5-minute hike. So if you're like, I didn't sign up to hike, it's not that far. And while it starts out a little rocky, it gets just normal pretty quickly. But definitely bring some footwear. Don't just come in flip-flops unless you want to hike in flip-flops. I feel like if you're flying on a plane with flip-flops, you're probably prepared to hike in flip-flops. I recommend just shoes that are comfortable and that you're good to hike in. Don't bring anything too fancy because it might be, I don't know, a little bit dirty. That's all I have to say about shoes. Another thing, join the Focal Facebook group. So basically the situation is you're going to be arriving at the Calgary airport, as I'm sure you know, and you can rent a car there, but there are a few people that are also driving from Calgary to the workshop each day. So if you want to get a ride with them, they've offered that up. Join over the Focal Facebook group and you can put a word out if you're like, hey, coming in for the workshop, but I don't drive. Can somebody help me out? And you're probably going to find some help there. If you're looking to save some more costs, rent an Airbnb and split it between a few people. There are some larger houses available with, I don't know, like 5 or 6 bedrooms. And you can do that if you want as well. Again, Focal Facebook group, probably the space to put the word out for that. Or even if you found a nice property and you're like, hey, thinking about booking this, would anybody else be interested? Probably going to find someone. Or you're going to find somebody maybe a little bit more last minute once they're like, oh no, I need a place to stay. A few other things to think about when it comes to the workshop. I think the main benefit, so obviously you're going to come, you're going to get your portfolio photos, you're going to create some amazing work. But I think equally as important for your future career is the connections you're going to make with other attendees. And I would say come prepared to do some headshot trades, to do maybe you shoot reels for each other or whatever it might be, and kind of capture behind the scenes of somebody else. So if you know somebody or you've seen someone's name pop up a few times in the Facebook group and you're like, yeah, I feel like we get along, maybe start that relationship prior to arriving. And then outside of just the getting deliverables and shooting behind the scenes for people while we're there, the other massive benefit, and one that I've, I guess, discovered over my entire career, is that when I've gone to conferences, specifically early on in my wedding photography career, those friendships have lasted years and years and years and years, far beyond maybe the 3 days that we spent together at a conference back in 2008. But because our businesses were kind of at the same spot and we were growing together, and I feel like it's also a like-minded person that wants to go and travel and do something photography related. So you're probably going to end up in the same spot as the people here, maybe a couple of times over your career as a photographer. So that is absolutely one of the benefits. I would say maybe even weirdly the potential biggest benefit. I would say looking back at my first time, I'm going to use WPPI as an example. It's very much a conference. You're in conference rooms. At the time, there was very, very little shooting, and the shooting was very chaotic, where they'd be like, hey, we're going to do a live shoot, and we're going to invite 100 people, and 100 people are going to crowd around this couple while I take pictures, and we're all going to take pictures. Banff Workshop's a little more chill. Much smaller groups, significantly smaller groups, but WPPI was kind of like that for a little bit. And it wasn't really a place you went to ever build your portfolio. But my biggest benefit and my biggest takeaway from all of those conferences that I went to was absolutely the people that I met there. And we are still friends today, even though no one else is here with me right now. But it's okay. I can't record when there's other people in the room. It's very strange. Even thinking about it makes me uncomfortable. Too close. Oh, my bank is calling. Great. Thrilling. I'm getting a new vehicle. You'll see it sometime soon. It plugs into a wall, so that's exciting, and that's something. Thanks so much for watching here. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. You can ask anything about the workshop, maybe specific. Let's keep it to the workshop. And if you want to connect with other attendings, head on over to the Facebook group and connect there. And if you are having struggles, let us know, and we can help out the best we can. I'm very excited to see you in Canada, in the mountains in Canada. It's going to be fun. Thanks for going out on a limb and trusting us. It's the first one we've done. We want to make it amazing for you. And I guess at the end of the day, I wanted it to be something that I wanted to attend. So we're doing everything we can, and we're reinvesting all the profits back into the event as it goes. So Fogle's not actually making any money from the event. They're just reinvesting all of the dollars back into making this event cooler. And that's awesome for you as somebody coming out. That's all. I'll just be here with my sparkling water. This is where I live. I never leave here.